Skylar Plux Adventure on Clover Island is a charming platformer that plays out in a vibrant world. You don't have to look too hard to see how much inspiration the game draws from previous titles of the genre. From stunning vistas to cartoon-like art styles, everything in Skylar Plux feels familiar, which is not a bad thing. Combining this familiarity with some unique gameplay gadgets and some hilarious dialogue, Skylar Plux is a short adventure that's worth taking, for beginners anyway. You play as Skylar Lynx, a courageous heroine who has been experimented on by the villainous CRT. On the bright side, these experiments have given you a talking and robotic arm. This arm not only allows you to punch enemies on your adventure, but also helps you to escape the weaponizing CRT's space station. It's this hastily escape that results in you crash landing into Clover Island, where you'll soon learn that it's not just our furry friend Skylar that has been subject to CRT's tyranny. It's also on Clover Island where Skylar meets Plux, a server-dude-esque owl who is genuinely hilarious. Together, the two must travel through 3 separate regions of Clover Island, all in search for the siphon fuses. The siphon is a machine that the island leader believes will destroy the CRT for good. It's fair to say that the story arc isn't exactly original. Well, to be honest, it's pretty much the story of most iconic platformers. With that said, the story of Skylar Plux doesn't feel overused, outdated or stale. It's actually really enjoyable to play through. This is no doubt due to the continuously funny dialogue shared between the heroes and villains.
Hey now, if you're quite done destroying all my hard-working robots, get all this done quicker if you just work with me.
They're all attacking us, you bucket of bolts!
We're attacking you in self-defense, right, Bob?
Actually, sir, this is a This program is pacify and/or smash intruders on site.
Oh, right.
And the wonderfully illustrated cutscenes that break up the gameplay and loop. Skylar Plux's platforming inspiration comes straight out of the early 2000s. Putting the charming graphics aside, I often felt like I was playing through a classic PS2 platformer, and the game does a brilliant job of awakening those fond memories. However, the platforming here is way too easy. Throughout my playthrough I only died twice, and both of those were in combat, not by a tricky platforming section. Towards the end of the game there is more of a focus on vertical platforming, which does slightly increase the challenge but does nothing to really get your heart racing. An area where the platforming does stand out is how well it integrates the different gadgets you'll find on your adventure. The first gadget, a jump boosting jetpack, is pretty bog standard, but still feels important in some sections of the game. The second gadget you acquire is a standout of the show, a time-shifting orb that not only allows you to slow down elements of the environment, but also shows you what certain areas used to look like. Although this time-shifting device doesn't add much of a challenge to Skylar Plux's platforming, it does a good job of mixing up the gameplay in that region of Clover Island. The same has to be said for the final gadget you acquire, the magnetic glove, which doesn't feel as original as a time orb, but still brings enough variety to the gameplay. The two previously mentioned gadgets also bring a puzzle element with them. In the latter stages of both the second and third area, you'll need to overcome some logistical puzzles. Much like the rest of Skylar Plux, these puzzles offer very little difficulty, and although I enjoyed completing them, I do feel that this was a missed opportunity to provide more of a substantial challenge. I wish I could say that the combat provided a challenge that both the platforming and puzzles lack, but again this isn't the case. Firstly, you only come up against 2 different types of enemies, both of which can be finished off in one hit. Secondly, you only have 3 attacks at your disposal, a standard punch, a spin attack and a jump and smash. Towards the end of the game, the magnetic glove brings a new depth to the combat, allowing you to throw huge metal balls into the enemies, but this only happens on a handful of occasions. There is a boss fight in the game, which did kill me on one occasion. However, once you learn his movements, he really doesn't take that long to defeat. If you have any experience of platforming games or gaming in general, then boredom will probably set in before completing Skylar Plux, which is really saying something for a 3-hour game. However, Skylar Plux is a very good family adventure game. Its simple platforming, charming story and 2-button combat means that almost anyone can pick up and play through this funny platforming adventure.